Boom. I think we are live.
Yo, good morning guys. Happy Monday. It's the start of a beautiful week down here in Portsmouth with Si from Hampshire. We have been down here for your Eastney Beach picnic. This is one of your annual events that went very successfully, I would say.
Oh, the best one yet, definitely. I mean, that was our fifth year on the beach, and the numbers were near enough doubled from last year. We didn't have any trouble. The police didn't turn up, so the day went really smooth. It was an amazing day.
I didn't hear from one person with a negative comment either, guys. Like, people were very interested. There was a woman actually in your absence, I told you about this yesterday. They came and went, well, where's the police? Where's the council? If they're not coming, why don't you do this every month?
Why don't we? I've had a few people say, can we have another one? So I will look into doing another one next month. Why not? As long as we've got the weather, there's no reason not to.
Exactly. I mean, during this current heat wave that we're experiencing, people want to be outside, and given this current renaissance of knowledge around cannabis, people are beating the door down to find out about how they can utilise this plant.
That's the thing. At the event, it wasn't just like, your average stoner. There was people there, from posh areas that were taking the cannabis oil. There's one woman I spoke to, and she'd treated her cancer with it. She come off most of her sort of pharmaceutical medication, and I love hearing sort of stories like that. It keeps it all going.
For me, it's that validation that what we're doing. I mean, you've been at this a hell of a lot longer than me. I'm only 2 years into this. You're 6 years you've been slogging away doing this.
I have, but the change, that's what nothing keeps me going. Like, from 6 years ago, even on, I go on the street and do a lot of, handing out leaflets. And 6 years ago, people were just like snubbing me, walking away from me. But now,
scared to take the piece of paper off you.
But now I don't have to go approach them. They come to me. You know what I mean? They're like, oh, cannabis, what's this all about? And the public opinion has changed so much. So I love it out on there.
There's such a thirst for knowledge. Everybody wants to know. Well, the history of cannabis is the big one for most people, is they're trying to get their head around it. Most people have just read the tabloids' whitewashed version of prohibition, so they think that this dangerous drug was suddenly invented in the 19th, 20th century, and then it started destroying people's lives, and we had to keep this scourge of the earth from people. And all of a sudden they're going, well, actually, wait a minute, what's this endocannabinoid system? What do you mean it's in my blood? What do you mean I convert omegas into cannabinoids? Once they start to realise that kind of shit, of course they're kicking out.
That's the thing. It's like, what is it, 50 years of stigma we're trying to break. You know what I mean? And it is slowly coming around. And I think it helps when you've got, we've had a lot of kids now that are getting treated with cannabis, and that has changed the public's mind, I think. So, if kids are having it and it's okay, then it must be a good medicine.
Yeah, it's this whole thing of the argument you hear. I think of Lovejoy's wife in The Simpsons, and she's like, think of the children. And that argument has always been protect the children from drugs. And it's like, no, if you want to protect the children, you actually need to give them access to cannabinoids as medications to prevent serious illnesses that these little guys are suffering. You know what I mean? And why should they be a victim to prohibition? They can't understand the nuance of the politics and all the other bullshit that goes with this. They're just in need of a basic requisite for health, cannabinoids, and our government arbitrarily decides to keep them away.
Yeah, but even the recreational side, to legalise that would protect our children. That's what, a lot of people are still saying, medical cannabis, we agree with that, but recreational, no. But kids are getting hold of it. If it's illegal, kids will get it. So we need to regulate it.
It's already the most ubiquitously accessible drug in the UK. There's not a city or town that I guarantee. I mean, granted, I've got a good network of people, but I grant you that you couldn't turn up somewhere and within half a day of a push, you'd be able to find a good source, reliable source of weed.
Yeah.
It's everywhere. It's a fallacy that they can say it's a controlled substance. That doesn't make any sense.
No. It is everywhere, but there's still a lot of... you'll go to a dealer, and even the dealer doesn't know what he's selling you.
He's selling you weed.
He's selling you weed.
Shut up! I don't care what it's called. It'll get you high.
Yeah, it gets you high.
Too much of that.
Yeah, but I can't do that. I need to know what I'm smoking. I like, more towards the indica than the sativa, because high sativas do give me a bit of anxiety.
This is it. You know what works for you, and so it's absurd and abhorrent that some pharmaceutical CEO is determining what strain is useful for what condition. Yeah. If you've got 5 to 6 people that are suffering MS together, and give them all the access to any strain they wanted, there are 5 different strains that they'd settle on, because there's so many different nuanced symptoms and other issues that it can help with,
Well, the government know that we need different strains. Look at Bedrocan. They've got 5 different strains, from
all
just
in
like pure
form.
Yeah, just from pure CBD to high THCs. Now, Bedrocan itself is up to 22% THC.
And what is it, 0.2
Something
or something CBD?
which I personally wouldn't smoke. I'd rather have skunk, which is up to 19% THC. So the dangerous skunk would be my preferred.
It's the joke of this in this country. The GW Pharmaceuticals, what they mix with to make their Sativex, the THC heavy strain that they use is skunk number 1.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's you can see why they're pushing this false narrative that what you have when you grow skunk at home is dangerous. That's street weed.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But what we do is this is pharmaceutical quality grade cannabis. And it's bullshit.
It's the same.
It's absolutely bullshit. And a lot of their professionals are people that have done degrees in horticulture and understand plant biology and things like this, but don't understand the nuance of cannabis.
Yeah.
She is far more than just the constituent parts of it. This is what we know about learning about the entourage effect.
Yeah.
That it's when we try to synthesize cannabinoids, we've made them dangerous. We've managed to find a way to make cannabis dangerous by creating synthetic cannabinoids.
Yeah.
Like well, K2 and all this
even
shit.
Sativex, with the alcohol with it, it makes it a dangerous medicine.
Yeah.
You know, it can give you mouth ulcers and all sorts of things.
Well, this is the thing, and because of the way it's prepared, people build a tolerance to it quite quickly. So as they build a tolerance to it, they need more and more of it, which means they're exposing more and more of their mouth to raw alcohol, which is then causing issues. It's a joke, and the prescription charges as well around Sativex. Obviously, they've announced, was it yesterday, the day before, that only 5 people have come forward under this current system because the license charges are, what is it, £3,200 or something?
So is that for all these kids that are trying to get licenses?
Yep, the same people are saying, we're going to give you access, but then we're going to charge you. We want to charge you NHS trust. No. It's all, it's a farce. And what they're saying is, all right, you can have access to cannabis, but only pharmaceuticalized versions or only lab created. Your street weed is still dangerous. And so that's what's causing a big issue in the community, is this idea that you hear it from people on our own side. You'll have had it. Someone comes to you and talk about cannabis, and then in the next breath go, yeah, but I want that medical marijuana. They're so manipulated and indoctrinated into this bullshit rhetoric that they can't understand that them planting a seed is medicine. They can utilize that as medicine. And for me,
it's all medical.
Even in the act of cultivation, it's therapeutic.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, it is.
One of the things one of my doctors said, it was years ago, you should try gardening. It's the way to get out of yourself. Yeah. Obviously not then before I was part of any of this lot.
I think cropping would be a lot more fun if I could sit out in the open and do it. Yeah. Rather than hiding myself in a room. You know what I mean?
A lot of people do when they crop, they have to go into lockdown because of that smell. Yeah. That's where you could get yourself raided at that point. It's a joke. I mean, it's interesting, I suppose, talking about the juxtaposition of, say, Durham's police attitude versus down here. I mean, last week, our magistrates courts announced that they're not going to issue search warrants for personal cultivation. That's bad, isn't it? It's crazy. Yeah. There was an article that came out in, was it The Guardian the other day, that said that 17% drop or something like this overall in cannabis arrests.
See, down the West Country, it's the same, isn't it? So I don't, Devon and Somerset and that, so I don't know whether a lot of the police are taking the same stance, but they're just not advertising it as much as Durham.
I think that is entirely the case. Because it's not just even just cannabis, it's a lot of other drugs. People are starting to realise that ultimately prohibition is the problem. The harms of any drug is exponentially multiplied by criminalising the consumer of it, by then not allowing controlled and regulated market. I mean, you saw this article that they had Drew in last night, and I Drew in the Daily Mirror article, and they're basically alluding to people like him, YouTubers, that were doing drug education videos, trip reports as they were encouraging kids as young as 12 to consume illicit substances. This is fucking bullshit.
Oh, it is.
They're just trying to paint this narrative of, it's not just reefer madness now, they're moving toward substance madness, this idea that all of those introspective connecting drugs, those drugs that give you the sense of oneness and wellness, they're the ones they criminalise highly. Look at ecstasy when that exploded in the market in the UK, and you had the Free Party movement up until 1994, where people just get here, sound system, and they'd have a culture and a party, and they'd create something beyond their control mechanism, beyond the monoliths of their institutions.
Yeah, I was there at the beginning of that in '89.
I wish I was all
showing my age.
I caught the end of it in a lot of ways. But it's starting to come back now. There is this, you've seen a resurgence in cheaper pills. So for the past 5 years, it's been £10 Gurners, or whatever you guys use as a colloquial term down here. It's £10, and it's like 250 fucking milligram. It'll knock you for shit. Yeah. Whereas sort of back in the day, you had chalky pills, which were almost pure,
Yeah, yeah.
or brought with amphetamine, things like this.
It was a lot cleaner back then, definitely.
Yeah, because everybody wants to make money from it now, and because everybody wants that sense of connection, a lot of people are choosing party drugs over alcohol because they're, especially the younger generations, are aware of the consequences. They're watching their parents die from chronic alcohol abuse, and they're starting to realise, well, actually, if I engage in different behaviours, I'll have a different outcome.
Yeah.
But then to criminalise them for choosing a healthier option, like consuming cannabis over alcohol, is insane.
No. So that's the thing. It's okay for kids to take it, like for medical reasons, but recreational. Do you still think like 18 or?
I think for a sales market, I think we have to kind of go for 18 because it's a drug in that sense. Yeah. But we should have foods fortified with cannabinoids so that everybody is getting access to cannabinoids. Just the psychoactive parts, the fun part for me. I mean, THC does have medicinal properties in and of itself.
Yeah.
But utilizing just say high THC and whatnot, that's for stress relief, that's for relaxing at the end of the day, that's for socializing, that's for rolling a joint and passing it in a group of people and utilizing it that way. Yeah. And I think we shouldn't criminalize that. Regardless of what we do with regulated laws, if you then break these laws, it should be fine. You should never, ever face incarceration for any action that you've undertaken with the plant, unless you've used like a kilo brick of cannabis and beat someone to death with it.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean? Unless it's some sort of fringe criminality. Yeah. But for me, in and of itself, dealing with cannabis shouldn't be criminalised. And I mean, I started every day when I was 15.
I did, but I still think that was too young for me. I wish I hadn't. You know what I mean? I wish I'd have waited a little bit longer. Because I did get into harder drugs, but you know, I started cannabis at 15. I'm not saying cannabis is the gateway, because it's not. It was the people I was getting it from.
Exactly. So I was talking to a guy last night about this. It's exposure theory. It's this idea that because a lot of, not nowadays, and now in the past few years, it's got a lot better because the cannabis dealers are just cannabis dealers. Yeah. Mostly because they grow it, they sell it. Whereas back in the days, they would sell everything. And because of the money markup and the margins on cannabis. Yeah. So then, while you're buying this, I'll chuck you 2 of them grams of speed in for an extra. It's all those little deals and all that little ways. And for me, again, that's not cannabis's fault. Because if cannabis was then sold and regulated, exactly, consequent. And it's the same for any substance. Because then if you are utilising one drug to lessen sort of spiritual or emotional pain, then why is it that instead of providing you the safest, least harmful substance possible that still boosts your dopamine, your serotonin, and keeps you happy, rather than going, okay, what drugs you're allowed to use is alcohol, tobacco, or caffeine, which in and of themselves cause issues neurologically.
Yeah, most families, you know, at Christmas, it's okay to give your kid, you know, a wine
your 13, 14-year-old kid, exactly.
Oh, let them have a little drink at Christmas.
Yep.
No.
but by doing that, you desensitize it. So as the kid grows up, they're like, which is something you do. But if the kid's like, not allowed to smell it, not allowed to look at it, and no, go away, this is for adults, you put a taboo, you put it on a shelf. Think of all the mums now. I've dealt with a lot of mums in Durham, actually, middle-class women that are just very well-to-do. The juxtaposition from the youth that I was dealing with previous is crazy. But they're then now starting to realise they need to desensitize their children to it. So instead of before hiding and smoking it, and the kids smelling it and going, what are you doing? And then being a bit like cheeky and hiding.
Illegal is exciting.
Exactly.
I mean, I've got 3 kids, and they know, you know, they know what I do, but they don't smoke. They don't smoke weed. So, you know, you don't hide it. What we got here?
I was going to say, we'll do some, see what comments we've missed.
Yeah, hello Mark, Nicky. Yes, we got a big shout out for Scott Davis. Hello, mate.
Try to go back to the beginning with so many comments. Big up Farhan, Maga. Highest Gremlin, welcome, cool name. Welcome Claudia. Big up Phil, how you doing, man? We need to catch up soon. I'd like to interview you for the projects I'm working on at the minute. Lee Rogers, how you doing, man? Hope things are going well. Big up Thomas. Lee says good morning, Si.
Morning.
Morning, Highest. How you, Val? We're doing very well. We're enjoying. Actually, it's a bit of shade now. The sun's gone around there. It's quite nice.
Yeah, I'm glad about it because it was hot. Tyler, if you're watching, I was going to wear your t-shirt, man, but it's too hot for a black t-shirt.
I'm wearing a black t-shirt. I'm dying.
I did have it on, but I thought I can't. I've got to change it.
Big up Farhan. Big up Alistair, how you doing? Welcome Connor. Welcome Ben.
Steve Riddle. Hello, mate. Ben. Luke, how's it going?
Welcome David. Lauren, how you doing?
We're down at Portster Castle.
Big up Amanda. Paul, how you doing, guys? We need the right to grow. Without the right to grow, it's only ever going to be Prohibition 2.0 because we can fucking ferment as much and produce as much alcohol as we want at home.
See, that's when I'll hang my activist shoes up, when I get the right to grow.
Well, I'll do the same when I've got the right to grow enough.
Enough.
Yeah, not 4 plants with a metre high or any of this bullshit.
No. I mean, 4 plants. If you can veg them as long as you want,
mate, Dave.
surely 4 plants would be okay.
If we could grow them outside, like the Americans get £1 a plant. Fuck yeah.
Yeah.
Big up Chris G. Beard, how you doing? Big up Med. Welcome Dank Rich. Thoughts about make tinctures with vegetable glycerin. I particularly don't like vegetable glycerin, nor do I like glycol.
I did start making those about 5 years ago with Fiji, but I don't. It doesn't extract enough, really. Does it?
MCT is the one I've been using as a stable oil because it's quite sweet in and of itself. It's slightly stimulating. It's a good brain fat.
MCT actually helps it break down into your system quicker than something like VG, the cannabinoids.
I suppose it makes sense because of the structure of
the.
That's
what was told.
Big up, Carl. How you doing? Welcome, Mark. There you go. Chris is saying MCT.
Yeah.
I love it how you guys answer each other's questions. There was a big comment there. I apologise, it's a bit shaky, guys. You actually stood stacked on my shoes.
Steve Riddle, the weekend was amazing, mate. It really was. Might have to do another one next month. It was that successful.
It was big. I mean, big respect for pulling it off. And I think the slight change of location, moving it further up.
I didn't.
No, you did move it further.
No, I didn't. I changed my mind at last minute.
No, last year you were slightly almost in the middle of it. Whereas now you were, I think, because you were close to the toilets.
Yeah.
And for the disabled patients that turned up, it was easier for them to access it. So I thought that was really good.
Yeah. I mean, it was still a bit of a nightmare to get wheelchairs across, but as soon as I saw them, I legged it over there and pushed it over. Becky, morning. Yeah, we're not far from you.
A lot of this. Sorry, who's just commented that? Paul. Yeah, this whole thing of street weed and what. I don't know either. Oh, are we back?
No, we're back. You're right.
Thanks, I'm touching the phone. I'm upsetting it. Oh, sorry guys, the video's been a bit shit. I'll stop faffing around, because something's going on in the background. Sorry guys, my Twitter's decided to update. Big up Phil Evans, how you doing, man? Welcome John. Utilising cannabis raw in a smoothie. Yeah, man, this is exactly. We need to utilise cannabis as a base nutrient, as a food source. So we need to actually start utilising it more than just as a drug, as a substance.
Oh, interesting sound. It's eBay. Sarah, morning.
Chris G. Beard wants to come live with you.
Who wants to come live with me?
Chris G. Beard.
Hey, what's he offering?
Yeah. Big up Andy Hunter. How you doing, guys? Right, we're caught up. Right, I'll stop touching the phone now, so hopefully it should go back to the quality it was at before. For those who are interested, just smoked some very, very nice Candy Kush this morning. Watch how good the quality of the camera's going to show you. This is one of the I suppose local vendors I went to see the other day. Was blown away by his selection.
And he's also one of those vendors that you pay for a gram, you get a gram.
Yeah, and a little bit more. I saw. Yeah, good. Did very well from his selection. Got 5 or 6 flavours that have kept me on my arse pretty much since. So I can't complain.
Yeah, he knows his stuff as well. Paul's going, you know, he knows exactly what his weed is, the percentages of THC, and he knows what you want as well. He's got a lot of medical patients.
I know what you want.
Oh, hello mate. Got a little dog joining us. No. Right.
Oh. Big about co-host.
Yeah. See, it's only green on the trees. If you look behind us, all the grass is dead.
Yeah, this summer's been really bad for the ground.
It has.
You know, it'd be really good for this soil. Cannabis.
It would.
You know, it would really help in nutriize. What we're trying to say here. Put nutrients back in the soil.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah, I was talking to a geologist about drugs and cannabis and stuff for several hours yesterday. That was an interesting conversation. That and the conversation I had with a priest recently as well is really.
I saw that. That was quite an eye opener, really.
This is what I'm going to try and do from now on. So if there's anybody watching that is a bit more fringe industry, that wants to engage in a dialogue and a conversation, please let us know, because I'm trying to step out as much as I can out of these echo chambers, so that we can get people that are like, you know, I've never thought of it from that point of view. I mean, this guy was I spoke to last night was university educated. He's a professor teaching geology. And the number of times he said, "Oh, I hate to admit it, but I agree with you," or "You're right," and in just these concepts of what prohibition is and how it affects like every industry, every form of study as well. And
that's fair. We've got an argument for every argument now, though. There isn't one argument that can stand for not legalising it.
There isn't. There really isn't. The only thing that makes any sense to them is, well, it's always been this way.
Yeah.
That kind of attitude that, well, I don't want to rock the boat. We don't like change.
Well, you know, it was like the psychosis argument, but even that, you can't use it anymore.
Well, it doesn't make any sense. There's Lester Grinspoon, you know, who's got that 100% sativa named after him.
Yeah.
He's a psychiatrist was at Harvard University. And he had this idea of, it's in the Culture High documentary, and he says if you introduce something into a culture that is schizophrenogenic, you would expect the uptake, the prevalence in a culture to increase.
Yeah.
Schizophrenia has been about 1% since we discovered it in the global population.
Yeah.
You then introduce cannabis to like 100 million plus people in the 60s, 70s.
Yeah.
You'd expect that to go up, and it hasn't. It's remained the fucking same. There is an issue between causal and casual. So the specialists are looking at the statistics, all these people with mental health problems smoking weed, and going, that's caused the mental health problem.
Yeah.
But it's not. It's a casual link because the individuals are self-medicating with it. With the same way alcohol could trigger the abuse of pharmaceuticals, a bad relationship.
But if they had the right strain of cannabis,
they could even counter that psychosis. This is the joke of it. Yeah.
Well, GW are actually in the process of making a drug out of cannabis for schizophrenia.
I had a conversation with a guy the other day who's been in this industry for a while, but kind of stepped back to work on a project at the minute, and he was talking about this idea that a lot of pharmaceutical companies have been under the table working on drugs that block CB1 and CB2 receptors,
right?
So that they can then almost exploit this clinical endocannabinoid deficiency, this notion, so then you further worsen the system that regulates the body, so then you have more symptoms that need more other drugs to combat. You know what I mean?
It's all a business, isn't it? That's all it is.
Of course. I mean, I wish I had my tinfoil hat to puncture it at this point. It's a certain you do get that whole, we're down the rabbit hole with this shit. But if you then think of the cancer line in this country, married with the Cancer Act from the 30s, which says you can only utilise certain treatments, and it's illegal for specialists to speak of alternative treatments with individuals.
Yeah.
I mean, cancer research in business has existed for like 100 fucking years.
See, I won't donate to cancer research. But my thing is, right, give a man a cow and say, learn how to milk it. 50 years later, if he doesn't know how to milk that cow, would you still give him more money to try it?
Yeah, exactly. When there's people out there that are doing this.
Yeah.
So it's this notion for me of, it's about diet. It's about, we have cancer cells that mutate within the body anyway. It's about stopping them from metastasizing. So right now we're both sat here with cancerous cells within our body. All cancer cells are is mutations and maladaptions of genes.
Yeah.
Every day, the Buddha called it Galapagos, these things that arise and fall apart every day. And it's the cells within us. And every, 1 million and something iterations, a cell is then mutated. Yeah. And then that's the mechanism we evolve. But then the bad ones have a system within them that they recognize they're not useful. We target it and it goes out through our waste.
Yeah.
But then if the body's in a state of is in disharmony or not in homeostasis, you're eating a shit diet, you're being exposed to carcinogenic substances, that's more likely to then metastasize, become tumours, then spread as the system then recognises it as just part of the body.
That's why if you're taking cannabis for cancer, you've got to change. It's not just cannabis. You've got to change your whole diet, haven't you?
Everything, and it's not even just the physical aspect. It's this sort of, it's going to get a bit hawky, but your mental diet. I speak a lot to these guys about mental diet, about what you consume, what you think, and how you feel. So even the placebo effect manifest.
Yeah.
So choosing to engage in, I'm planning, if you're a cancer patient, terminal, whatever, I'm going to be here for next year. Not in a sort of pipe dream of whatever, but make rational plans that make sense and push yourself beyond their means and limits. There's been numerous people I've met in this community that were given 3, 6, 9 month diagnosis for death that are then 3, 6 years alive, and this is because of changing their fucking diet. I mean, Phil James is in here. I think you were terminal, weren't you, with a brain tumour? And then he literally just through vaporising herbal cannabis, so a stabilisation in the size and then a reduction, and then he's been 6, maybe 7 scans now clean.
Yeah. No,
there's the guy Alan Park who runs Green Crush podcast. He was stage 4 prostate cancer in Canada. Go home and die. He's now still classified as stage fucking 4, but he's cancer free. They won't remove the diagnosis. So he still has cancer in their words because For him to then have cured cancer, he needs to have gone through one of the treatments that cures cancer. You know what I mean? It's a farce.
Yeah. Well, stress is a killer in itself, isn't it? So if stress can cure, it's sort of then positive thinking and can obviously can that do the opposite?
It's hormones, isn't it? Because stress, cortisol is like the stress hormone. It's like fight or flight. You react to it, but it's a mechanism that's necessary, the same as all other hormones are. But when it's produced to excess, it can be detrimental. And even just being in a state of being anxious is really bad for you, because your heart's tachycardic, your blood pressure's up, your muscles are tense. You know what I mean? You're in a difficult situation with yourself. You're just not comfortable, and a lot of people, unfortunately, live with that for a great many years. Because, like as Josh Stanley said, one of the Stanley brothers who produced CBD strain Charlotte's Web, when he spoke at the Patients in Parliament thing, was that the vast majority of people that utilise cannabis utilise it for its anxiolytic properties, to lessen anxiety. And for me, it's because of this instant gratification generation. But this technology allows us to connect with anybody anywhere in the world at any time, and to be in constant communication with thousands of people. We are not designed for that kind of shit. There's a reason we huddle around in tribes of like 100, 150 people, because then you could maintain those relationships and there wasn't frictions and ruckuses and trouble, you know? Whereas now, I mean, my friends are like, it's 990 or some shit. I don't know half the people that are on there. Even just calling them friends, it lessens the meaning of the nature of the connectivity. So it's people are almost now, they have reciprocal branding rather than friendships. It's weird. You know?
You don't personally know more than half of these people, but I know their faces.
It's crazy.
Judith, hello.
How's the audio today, guys? We're doing pretty well. There's no wind at all.
No, there's not. Do we sound alright? We're loud enough? Let us know.
What do you feel is the major crux of the continuation of prohibition of cannabis cultivation and consumption? It surely can't all be resting on the bank balance of Big Pharma. It's not, Paul. I would say it is an amalgamation of maybe 5 or 6 industries. So obviously fossil fuels and petroleum, there's trillions of investment within that, subsidies from various governments to make sure that paradigm continues. Pharmaceuticals, again, they're worth tens of billions more, tens of billions just in cancer alone globally. When then you could introduce a substance that gives people the autonomy of their health and then negates, up to 50% less prescription charges in some legal state, prescriptions being utilised in this legal states in America. You've then obviously got sort of timber and textiles and other merchants like that are very well established with what they do. As a food resource as well, shit as a protein for cattle and stuff. The soybean industry, which a lot of people like to attribute to being the problem because of vegans and vegetarians, it's not. They're feeding cattle the vast majority of soybeans, whereas we could then utilise the fucking hemp seed. Boom, complete protein, cholesterol free, good source of anything and everything that they need, while at the same time then getting the materials to utilise for the textiles, for the plastics. I mean, with hempcrete and shit like that now, with hemp graphene as an energy supercapacitor, would surpass lithium. They've just found the year before, $1 trillion worth of lithium in Afghanistan. This is why Trump started talking about it the past year and a half. We found that this hemp graphene is equal to or greater than in energy storage than lithium. You know what I mean? And as a material in and of itself is 100 times more conductive than copper, 200 times stronger than steel. You add that to hempcrete, theoretically, me and Trev love to chat shit about this all day, is that you can make hemp skyscrapers that would be pest resistant, mold resistant, and in a post-Grenfell world, fire resistant.
See, can you make these things 100% out of hemp? Because like hemp plastic,
it has.
I don't know enough about it, but I'm sure it's still plastic with bits of hemp in.
I think it's not. It's just not petroleum based. There's different degrees I think you can make of it. So you can make a fully recycled one, but it depends on the materials used, because it's a lacquer. It can be used to seal things. So you can make almost like carbon fiber. So you use the hemp graphene as a fibrous material, and you could seal it with a hemp resin. You know what I mean? That to me that's another polymer. It's another form of plastic. So we could utilize that. There's this guy Paul Stratman, I think his name. I can't know straight. Stratnam. Can't see his last name and pronounce it properly. He's the mushroom guy, and he's been working on various subspecies of mycelium that eat petroleum and environmental waste, and that you can make and grow packaging He's worked on boxes so that these boxes get delivered to you, so it's recycled cardboard. Obviously, I'd like to see that as recycled hemp mulch. But then you implant seeds within, so then all you've got to do is you just go and stick it in the garden, put some soil in it, cover it in water, and boom, it mulches. It then feeds the plants, and then you grow plants from within it. You can do the same with mushroom packaging as well. So all of this polystyrene and shit that you always get with you need to protect things, that could be mushroom. That is then highly nutritious for the ground. You then put it into your garden and it feeds your plants.
Yeah, that's right.
There's means and ways we can operate, but the problem is it's about what's good for the economy rather than what's good for the environment. So it's far cheaper for us to import plastic cups and all this shit from China en masse than it is for us to invest in creating a system in the UK to produce our own biodegradable.
But it probably isn't that expensive to produce it all. It's just that the government are making it impossible to do, which makes it expensive.
We in the West, I mean, this back to Paul's point is it's legalized bribery. That's why we're where we are. Lobbying,
control.
Because in the West, big industries, so whoever runs the plastic trade association or whatever the fuck, these guys get together and say, they sit with the timber merchant guys, and they then get together and sit with Big Pharma, and they all just push together a narrative. Think of one of the biggest oppositions to California's 215 prop was the prison guards union. Would you even fucking think of that? Because they know the crack. You then suddenly get rid of cannabis drug laws, you then get rid of drug laws. That's half the prison population. Boom, just released. It's insane. So they're then like, well, what are we going to do for jobs? Police as well. Other than, say, the British police, we've been doing really well. The British Police Federation, 3 weeks ago, I think now, voted unanimously 100% for a new drug policy. They don't want to continue prohibiting any drug.
That's the thing. They know there's real crimes out there that they need to spend their time on.
The three
bothered
coppers that accosted poor Ben outside fucking Downing Street, when I stood there fucking filming, talking to them and just going, look guys, right now someone is being raped, right now someone's home is being burgled, right now somebody's car is being stolen, and you guys are dealing with this guy for holding a spliff, not even fucking smoking it.
Yeah, but can we really blame the police? Because they are doing their job, and if they don't, if they see you with it and they don't do something, they're breaking their own law.
I blame the institution,
not the actual individual policeman.
I don't believe this ACAB thing. Some cops are cunts. Some of them are what my mate used to call PC bullied at school. So they're then using this as a mechanism to get their power back, to push the little guy around, you know what I mean? And enforce arbitrary fucking laws that don't really affect anybody at this point,
No.
But then there are others that grew up watching fucking John McClane or whatever and had this sense of right and wrong, and I want to join this force and do good. And they get stuck within the mire and the bullshit of this. And off fucking duty, they'll tell you and they'll talk to you. But then when they put that fucking that badge and that stab vest and that shit on and they step out into the world, they kind of lose this decency, this morality. I mean, if you look at Robert Peel's 9 core, the Peelian principles, like one of them is this idea that the police are the public and the public are the police.
Yeah.
But they've now become the guardians of our authorities. The police were set up to ensure that the army wouldn't be on the street protecting our fascist and corrupt government.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We've stepped so far from this, it's ridiculous. So they felt the need to protect number 10 from cannabis protesters by then calling in the police.
Yeah.
We weren't doing anything.
No.
We were just demonstrating the need for law change, how farcical it was. I had a plant that fucking big in my hand. And
but if you didn't have a complaint, they only turned up because some...
It wasn't a complaint. It wasn't. It was the guards stood with the fucking assault rifle, M15s and shit, guys, stood there, and they felt intimidated by a plant. And they're like, right, we need to... Because they can't legally leave their position because of this post-terrorism bullshit, which again is a consequence of prohibition. We've been levelling the Middle East for resources that we don't need, that we could be negated by using cannabis as a biofuel. It's like 97% bioavailability is a biomass. Nothing else comes fucking close to that.
No.
It's a crazy world that we live in this situation, and now with hemp graphene superconductor batteries, connect that to, I mean, think of how much sun we've had recently, guys. I don't know when you guys were last on a fucking train going to London, but from Peterborough to London, for about an hour, all you can see either side of the tracks is field after field after field of solar panel.
Yeah.
Oh, but solar doesn't work. Rah, 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 rah.
Wait,
They're just trying to make sure that they get their money in the right place. Our government divested £1.5 trillion from public sector pensions just last month, while at the same time allowing certain councils to push for fracking, which is abysmal. It's fucking redundant. We don't need that. And luckily, some of the councils are obviously being smarter about their investments, but you've got police, firemen, nurses, doctors, anybody that has a public sector pension, these things are invested in these industries. These industries are going to be decimated when cannabis is ubiquitously legalized. And it's going to happen fucking sooner rather than later. It really is. I mean, this whole thing of us medical, I can see us having medical this year, honestly.
Oh, I do, yes. I mean,
they'll make it incredibly fucking difficult for us to get close to it.
But year after year, it will get more and more things you can get it for.
But this is why we need patience to then challenge the law. I'd love to see if we could get a class action lawsuit in this country, get fucking loads of us together and go, you know what, we're going to sue the government for nothing short of a genocide. You know what I mean? And then for the environmental impact, that's then affecting our health. There's 40,000 extra attributable deaths in London from pollution alone. Can you imagine if all of those extra parks, they grew cannabis, which sequesters 325 kilograms of carbon per tonne? We've arrived at such a point with the carbon tipping point in the world that there's part of the Amazon that they're registering the plants and the trees are converting less. Their photosynthesis action, they're not converting as much CO2 back into oxygen.
Is that why I can't breathe?
It probably fucking is. It probably
is. That's out of my chest. Isn't it?
But it's a crazy world. So they're trying to, while at this point, tobacco, I don't have a box, but tobacco box has like smoking kills, pictures of tumours and dead babies and shit on. And they're going, no, don't breathe this because it'll kill you. While our air is killing thousands of it. It's farcical. That they can then go, oh, you shouldn't eat this because it's bad for you, while physically murdering children halfway around the world, or giving fucking arms to Saudi Arabia to murder millions of Yemenis.
It's mad. There's no need for any of it, really.
No.
There's enough technology out there to stop it all. There is. The
It's
world
just
should be a good place.
Trying to get the will of the people is so difficult, though. Most people are so apathetic because they're just... Again, I'm not having to go at alcohol consumers, guys, but the way alcohol affects it shrinks the connection between the hippocampus and the amygdala, two areas of the brain associated with positivity, empathy, compassion. So then the chronic use or abuse of this means that those areas don't develop, especially if you then start drinking at 18. By the time you're in your 40s, you can see why, I'm going to swear here, all these gammon guys, these fucking just red in the face, boiling over with bile and hatred and villainy. And it's a consequence of they've literally narrowed their worldview to such a degree that if anything challenges their cognitive dissonance, it makes them enraged, it makes them violent and vile. It's terrible. But so as Ben Sessa says, who just as the head of child psychology, I think, at Bristol Uni, who's using MDMA for phase 3 trials to treat alcoholism in the UK. The guys who need MD are not those lot of hippies in the fields partying. It's these tattooed fucking drunk guys from Western Supermare with fucking England flags and that, all of them. They're the ones who need MDMA. These guys need psilocybin. These guys need cannabis. Because these substances are introspective. They cause metacognition. They cause hyperconnection and this sense of oneness. You know what I mean? It's just... if you could get them to feel that once for just one moment, that's enough hope that we could then redirect the politics of this country. So instead of going down this fucking very dark path towards, frankly, fascism, we could fucking have a conscious revolution within the individual, you know?
Yeah, but I've been on both sides. I've had, I've gone down the route of drinking way too much, and I know what person I would rather be. I like myself more, smoking the cannabis but drinking.
Smoking that wacky backy.
Smoking that wacky backy. But even without it, you know what I mean? I am more of a chill person with alcohol out of my life. Definitely. Because that changes my personality. And I don't want something that does that. Now, cannabis doesn't. I don't stress about the small stuff in life.
Yeah, it puts life into perspective for me in a great way.
Small things don't matter. Even the big things don't matter. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We've still got to carry on, and tomorrow's tomorrow.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, for me, alcohol was... Every time I would consume it socially, there would be no limits on it. Obviously, we set our own personal limits, but then people would be like, oh, do you want another one? Oh, do you want some shots? There's that kind of almost social bullying. And what I found is once I'd hit a certain point of intoxication, the cognitive walls, or not walls, rather, the devices and mechanisms I'd built within my own head to deal with my own historic trauma would be decimated.
Yeah.
So then a very damaged child would arise in me, and it would overcome the sensible adult that I'd sort of converted myself into, grown into. And it would just make me miserable. You know what I mean? Majority of times I go home on a Friday, Saturday night after trying to socialise and be accepted in my society. Hands ahead of me, hands crying, just feeling so detached and miserable, and then having the next day of a hangover to deal with.
Why would you want that?
And then just like, what the fuck, and then trying to engage with people, to do things, like, well, to go out Saturday. Nobody will do anything on a Saturday morning, because they're all fucking hungover. It's a different reality, but for me, it's in Colorado. It's what is it, 20% less alcohol is being consumed because people are, and it's not that people are going teetotal. It's that they'll have 2 pints and a good bag of Kush or something. You know what I mean? They'll pair these things together and they'll enjoy both of them more.
Yeah, they're so chilled after a little, rather than having to do too much. Morning, Rob.
Welcome, Chris. Welcome, Sharon. How are you doing? The police aren't the problem. The government decided to go after the CPS run the show. Yeah, it's interesting because we were just talking about before how Durham's magistrate courts are no longer issuing search warrants for personal cultivation. So as long as you've got personal amount, which by the CPS's own guidelines is technically anything less than 27 is personal.
Really?
Because once it hits 27, that's when it goes into the next echelon of like the tiers of criminality. Yeah. So then it becomes commercial, and then from commercial it becomes industrial, and each one carries a different kind of penalty with it, or recommendation for penalty. You know?
It's under 9 you'll definitely get away with personal though, isn't it?
Well, yeah, it's 9's obviously the model that's been espoused by the UK CSC.
Yeah, but I think the courts are sort of taking that as a guideline, aren't they?
Yeah, I mean, you can kind of tell whether it was personal or if it's not. So when you raid the home, you had 10 grand in stack of cash there. You know, I mean, that looks like you're dealing at least. If you break into somebody's home and they've got 50 fucking pop tops. Yeah, that's, to me, you know, evidence of day. There's other means to tell. It's not just about the quantity of the cannabis, because if you then need serious amounts of feco, you need to grow a lot of fucking weed.
Oh, you do, yeah.
But to get them to understand that, I mean, some fucking police forces are still literally going like that, getting the plant, soil, and just fucking boom, and dividing it by £10 a gram. And so this is how you hear them saying, oh, well, this guy was raided and he had £150,000 worth of cannabis. Yeah. And then the picture of the guy is just like, well, what? It doesn't make any sense.
And he had 16 plants, but no, he had 8 adults, 8 babies.
Yeah. I mean, there was a guy in Sunderland last year got away with a caution for 150. It's individual cases, and for me, I'd rather everybody grows it, and then when you get caught, go to court and say, yeah, but do you know what I'm doing, Judge? I am not giving money to that prick that sells heroin as well. I'm not giving money to that guy, he sells coke as well. You know what I mean? I'm not funding criminality. I'm not helping people trafficking. You know what I mean? I'm becoming self-sufficient and removing myself from a criminal marketplace. And then for me as well, even at low-level dealing, which has been allowed, there's a discretion on it in the. So what happens with the checkpoint scheme in Durham? If you get caught low-level dealing, if you're dealing to supplement your own usage, you can argue that and get on the checkpoint scheme. So you then avoid criminality, avoid court altogether. They've extended this so it's pretty much all drugs and all low-level dealing. Obviously, they're not going to give the big bad boy gangsters the opportunity to utilise this, but it just shows you that the attitudes are evolving. The police are smart. They've spent decades. Mike Barton, our chief constable, he's been 39 years in the police force. I was reading a quote of his recently, and he said that it's shown him in this time that prohibition has failed. It cannot work. You cannot prohibit a substance out of existence. You can't say to somebody, it's the whole thing of you can't just parent somebody and go, you can't do that, don't do that, it's bad. Yeah, it's not going to work. It ain't ever going to. As soon as you say that, it's exciting. Exactly. You make
what do you mean it's bad? Yeah. What do you mean? Yeah. I've got to try this stuff.
Well, it's this whole thing of, I think drugs have become more ubiquitous since we've tried to stop people taking drugs. So things like Frank and shit, all they do is just provide further curiosity for the youth. And especially it's this thing of the exposure theory. So 2 16-year-olds sat in a park, sat in like a joint. Neither of them die. They don't get schizophrenia. And it's like, well, did your mate say you could get some amphetamine? Oh, let's get some of that. Oh, I've got a mate who can get some acid. Let's have a go at that. And they just assume that the same lies that were told about cannabis, you'll tell the same lies about other drugs. Yeah. So this is how you end up with kids not trusting the establishment at all. The reason that police, everyone running about screaming ACAB and dickheads, is because they're deliberately persecuting an entire subculture of our youth, you know what I mean? Yeah. Kids that are smart enough, aware enough to go, no, alcohol gives me a hangover, makes me feel sick, it makes me violent, it makes me fucking this, that and the other. Yeah. Whereas these other drugs, we go have an illegal rave in the woods for a weekend and 200 of us feel so connected, we create relationships that will last a lifetime. Yeah. You know what I mean? But that is highly criminalised. While alcohol is comorbid in, over 60% of all violent crimes, the perpetrator is drunk. Oh, definitely. 1 in 3 cases of child abuse is from an alcoholic parent. Yeah. But we're not allowed to talk about that because it's legal. Because the MPs drink at their 12 subsidised bars while making a decision about drugs policy. it's farcical.
It's all
man.
hypocritical, and it has been for God knows how many years.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They've admitted that it is a medicine now, but they're not shouting at the fact that they've been growing it for the last 10 years anyway. So,
but I think we're moving into a world where people are getting more and more proud, guys. And it's this sense of just having the fortitude to stand up. Big up, brother. Having the fortitude to stand up and just say that, no, I'm not accepting your lies anymore.
Yeah.
If we all challenge the charges, if we make it untenable for the police to stop us, with this thing now of them kind of discretionarily allowing us to consume and buy CBD weed, that's less than 0.2% THC, we should all be carrying around that packaging, regardless of the weed we smoke, and challenging them and going, you know what, here you go, here's a receipt, here's the packaging. Yeah, officer, what's your problem? And then if he comes up and deals with one of your mates, 3 of your mates stand up and, what's wrong, officer? What?
That is a good idea, actually. Get one of those packets.
Get it to the point where they're like, because it is, they don't have an idea. And even if they then do and test it, we then go, I'm sorry, officer, I was sold that. That shows why we need regulation, officer. And just we need to make it fucking farcical for them. So every time they smell cannabis, I want the officer to go, let's go this way quickly. Let's literally avoid those youngins over there smoking the weed. And let's, you know what I mean? Because that's what it fucking should be.
Oh, it is. Yeah, let's try that.
That's I was talking to Jim Fox, you know, the beatbox champ, when he was round mine after an event last year. Had him so galvanised and ready. He was like, yeah, man. Because I was saying that all we need is loads of us to then do mass demonstrations the same day. You go to your courthouse, we go to ours in Durham, and we literally just get 20 or 30 of us, and we all just en masse just consume. And it doesn't even have to be the thing of, you could put some people with CBD if they wanted to not get in trouble, as it were. But then what are they going to, one joint? Are they really going to arrest 30 people for one joint each?
I don't know. Last time I got arrested for cannabis, I had 2 joints on me. And because they said, because of my previous, they didn't want to arrest me, but they said, we can't let you go.
Exactly. This is it. This is what I said to the officers that arrested Ben outside Parliament. They are as much a victim of this fucking law as we are. The reason they're disrespected, the reason they have to wear fucking stab vests and shit, is because the community sees them as their enemy. They've created a war on drugs. So then, by its definition, we become enemy combatants in that war. They make us soldiers. They make us, you know what I mean? So when you start to really think of that rhetoric, you can understand why the youth are so violent and so aggressive towards the establishment. Because while they're lying about what the drugs and shit we consume, they're drinking themselves to death while asset stripping the world, taking trillions from our economy and saying that it's our fault for taking drugs and refusing to engage in their economy. You know what I mean? Because most people that I know are not willing to sell their soul for part-time. They're entrepreneurs. A lot of people I know in the drug industry, they do other things. But these are not bad people in and of themselves. Once then drugs are legalized, you'll still have to remove the criminals that are selling drugs. Do you know what I mean? The people that will be happy to break your fucking legs over ticky. The people that are, you know, we're going to try and sell to children. They're going to find the vulnerable people and try and get them addicted to certain substances. Those are the people we need to remove.
That's right.
The only way to remove them is through creating a legal, regulated system, you know? And at the same side of that, a decriminalised system. So nobody for consuming a substance should ever face incarceration. Because that is just the highest level of immorality.
Oh, it is.
I have no idea what time it is, guys, so I have no idea how long we've been on.
It is a war on people, not a war on drugs. Definitely.
Entirely, because obviously the whole thing with cannabis isn't illegal. You can't make the plant illegal. It's just illegal for us as, what are the, I'm trying to think of the term, peasants, for lack of a better word, not allowed to access it. So it's illegal for us to possess it, it's illegal for us to grow it, and it's illegal for us to sell it. But it's perfectly legal for Theresa May's husband and fucking Victoria Atkins's husband to cultivate it, sell it, and create a monopoly on it and control it.
It's all money, and even like tobacco companies are jumping on the bandwagon, aren't they? Like Marlboro are doing
cigarettes in Switzerland. They're producing that 20 to 1, 20% CBD, 1%, and these are being sold in Lidl and the fucking Co-op. Exactly. So I guarantee you, Lidl and the Co-op executives in the UK talking to their European counterparts and going, so what is it we need to do to make this happen? And what Haya, however you want to pronounce this company, I still haven't heard it verbalised, so I don't know how to pronounce it properly. They are a tobacco company that's now just going, oh, actually, get rid of the tobacco. They still want certain crop for nicotine production for maintaining people on vaporizers.
Yeah.
But then they want to produce a European strain. So they're fighting to produce this as fast as they can, so they can then have a 20% CBD, 0.2% THC, because then they can sell it every country in Europe. And it's literally pre-packaged 20 boxes of pre-rolled CBD cigarettes.
It's mad because I find it's starting to, like, you get looked down on more for smoking tobacco than you do cannabis, especially around like the cannabis community.
With the past year and a half, it's got really good. Like, people are going to pass joints and stuff. Oh, it's got tobacco in mind.
Yeah.
It's I mean, one of the wife of the guy I was speaking to last night, bless her, she's very knowledgeable she's an academic, but or rather a professional within her industry. But she didn't know you could smoke cannabis without tobacco.
Really?
Yeah. And you think, the more I think about it, and I've been thinking about it obviously since, is that I think a lot of people are stuck in that mindset still. That they think of skunk, in other words, skunk is any flower. One in its floral form is dangerous. Because they're like, oh, it's solid, but then solid, to make it burn, you have to put it in with tobacco.
Yeah.
And they just can't get...
That's the thing, it's not just the normal public that need educating a little bit. There are, people who've been smoking cannabis for 30 years and still really don't know. I mean, I did, and I smoked it for 30 years, and up to 6 years ago, I was that type of stoner that, weed was weed. It all got you stoned, and that was it. But there's so much to learn about it.
Byron says a legend for t-shirt. It's awesome, isn't it?
What t-shirt is that?
Mighty Ducks.
Hockey. Oh. That's a film, isn't it, Mighty Ducks?
Mighty Ducks. It was Emilio Estevez.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
I think he's started to come back. He's almost like one of these vampires or something. He comes out, does some films and disappears for a decade or so, and then comes out and does some shit. Although, to be fair, that's the way to do it. I'm sure he's been living well off his money.
Rob, you kicked the backy.
They got brother, respect.
Yeah, I'm trying. I'm on my, 4th attempt now, I think. But I will get there in the end. It doesn't, just keep trying.
Dozens of times. And like I said to you last time when you got to day 50, you only quit once. The rest of it is just practice.
Yeah.
You're learning what it is. Oh, it was when I ran out of weed. That was what triggered it. Or it was that morning cigarette that caught me. You figure out what it is and then you concentrate your efforts on...
See, I've tried that. I've got loads of weed now. I'll give up tobacco. And then I ran out of weed and it didn't work. But this time I've run out of weed, so I thought, right, I'll give up all combustion, including smoking weed for, just for I'll keep the vape. Still got the vape and, but I'll just knock it all on the head. That's the only way I can do it, I think.
Yeah, man.
But it's,
I'll get there. Courses, we'll each get it there on our own. I mean, as the 100th monkey paradigm sort of thing that we're moving towards, the morphic resonance of it, as it were, that it's going to permeate out into all consciousness in our culture. That tobacco and cannabis do not need to be married. No. There's even people I know now that have stopped smoking tobacco in their joints, but they're still smoking tobacco. But they've taken that first step. They've recognised that I shouldn't put these two things together. Yeah. So they'll even smoke a pure joint, or they'll dab or something, and then they'll smoke a cigarette afterwards.
Yeah. No, it's hard. It's really hard.
It's recognised by most countries as a more addictive substance than diamorphine, than pure heroin.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Like what we've done, especially cigarettes, as in pre-rolled cigarettes, because they've got so many different chemical additives that they've been putting for such weird justifications as, oh, well, for fire safety it needs to burn down.
Yeah.
There's all sorts of just daft little shit like that, and then it's...
I do find your weed's got to be nice and dry to smoke it pure, though.
Well, if you grow it, you know what you're doing.
You need it dried and cured properly, and then it does.
Well, this is the whole thing
burns
with
lovely.
This white ash thing. I'm not overly sure I buy this whole.
I don't ever agree with that.
Because I've seen
tobacco's white ash.
Yeah, and it's for me, it's a curing process.
Yeah.
You can. I've seen weed that has then been left in a jar. I've left in a jar and not want to smoke, and then when I've pulled it out, and then given it to a mate, and he's rolled it, and he's like, "Oh, it's full of it's white ash." Like, but you cannot taste it. There's a thick chemically.
You can taste chemicals in weed. It's not.
But again, it still looked white ash. Trying to quit the cigs, struggling to smoke pure joints. Kind of busted. There's a few reasons why. Tobacco actually acts as paralyzes parts of your esophagus here, so that's what gives you that smooth hit.
Yeah.
So then people smoking pure joints, it's too heavy. It's because you're used to taking these big thick hits, getting that sensation back your throat of satisfaction, and then it's like it's a smooth numbing.
Yeah, I always ask, is it pure? If it is, it's small drag.
Yeah. Exactly. You need to know. I mean, I've transitioned entirely, but I'm still. I mean, I picked up tobacco when I was 10, Made a deal with my mother. I'd stop stealing money off her. She buys 10 Lambert every day.
Yeah.
And so this for me is still, I'm still a smoker, as it were. I haven't consumed nicotine for 2.5 years.
Yeah.
But I still struggle to not combust. I love everything from the ritual of sitting down and creating
the rolling
it,
the joint is a ritual, isn't it?
and then looking at it in that first just.
Yeah.
And it's just so instantaneous. I know obviously dabbing and vaporizing is still about the same 60 seconds to 90 seconds, and it's fucking there. But I don't know, it doesn't have that, and I think it is just the psychological aspect of the bringing something in your mouth and drawing it.
But you do get a lot of people say, I mean, I said this, I can't afford to give up tobacco and smoke pure. But you can. Like, when I smoke with tobacco, I can smoke 10 to 15 joints a day.
Easy. I used to smoke at least a joint an hour every day I was awake, and regardless
and you think,
of
oh, I'm
what
craving
mood
a joint.
I
No,
was
you're not. You're craving the tobacco. Now, when I gave up for the 45 days, I went down to 2-3 joints a day.
Yeah.
It was 1 in the morning. That joint would last me ages because it was pure. A couple of drags, put it down.
Well, and that's the thing of it as well, because it's pure. When you put it out, when you relight it, you don't get that ashtray taste.
Yeah.
And it's more inclined to go out in and of itself anyway. So then, kind of when it does, it's I'll go on and do my thing. And
that's right. And it's a different high as well. It's completely.
It's a more for me. It's more prolonged because instead of riding that, because nicotine's a stimulant ultimately in that sense. It's paradoxical in the sense that calms you down slightly because you've satisfied that craving addiction, but it stimulates like concentration and focus.
Yeah.
But then when that dissipates, it's like caffeine. It causes a craving by its absence.
Yeah.
Then it causes a craving because of the substance, and that married together for most people is, I'll just do it again. And especially with it being accepted in society, especially at home, you just, I'll have another cuppa and another cuppa and another cuppa, and it just adds up. I mean, now obviously with us changing our cultural position of tobacco is helping, but we're moving too far towards prohibiting tobacco, and that's not going to work either, because you'll shut down a vast majority of people by just going, dirty smoker, it kills you, it does this, it does that.
Well, it is getting like that in the canna community. It really is.
But it shouldn't. We need to help these people because I was fucking addicted to tobacco. 18 years that shit had me, and honestly, I got upset time and time again. I was on nights when I'd fucking watch a documentary about cancer and shit, and I was I'm gonna die from fucking lung cancer because I couldn't think of a world where I couldn't consume. It's crazy.
That's what it's sad. It takes me to like times where I can't breathe, where I feel I've got to give it up. Yeah. It shouldn't take to get ill before you give it up. But it's personal choice, I suppose. Yeah, it is.
People mix backy to make the green last longer. I don't buy that for a second. No. For a second. No. Obviously, again, what we've just said, you can then even just roll in single skin joints as well. That's the same amount of weed off if you're actually smoking a joint rather than a spicy rollie, as they call it in the north, where you put literally like a crumb of weed in. It's like, well, that's not a joint. You're not trying to get high from that at all.
I think a single skin, you can put like 0.2 of a gram in, and still,
And it depending on the quality. If it's really well dried and cured, you can put even less than that. You can probably just hitters, or you could then even just get a little thing like a tiny little pipe. If you then utilise it in conjunction with oils and caps and things like this for the first couple of weeks, you'll break through. It's an investment, so you can either take a drug that we know is a class 1 carcinogen, is a more addictive substance than heroin, and continue to utilise it for the sake of saving some money and die, and it affect detrimentally all of the other facets of your life, or invest an extra ounce or two and just fucking boom and get on it. And if you marry it with, say, a vaporizer, or you smoking them pure, and then for me, I utilised a gram of psilocybin. That's far less than a therapeutic dose, so I broke it down over 14 days. So
that's a magic mushroom, if you don't know.
Yeah, magic mushrooms. It was actually Liberty caps picked from a field not that far from where I live.
Yeah.
So it was the nature thing. But all that did is that psychedelics, in that sense, open up almost the control panel of the mind, allow you to edit and change certain behaviours. If you then do the work moving forward with that, so consciously make the decisions, you'll be surprised how fast it changes. By literally the third week, I was a non-smoker. I had no nicotine cravings at all. It was just I was done with it. I didn't even, when it hit that point where I could smell it on others and it repulsed me.
Yeah, I get that after about a few days of not smoking. It does. It stinks. It's like, ooh.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, and the flavour of it, the taste goes from that's lovely to that's vile in days. It doesn't take long.
It's the mental aspect of it, because actually it changes the way your brain interprets taste buds. This is why in about the third, fourth week you start to taste, you like things you didn't like, you hate things you used to like.
The cravings are all in your head anyway, no?
Well, yeah,
They only last a second, and just sit there and think, well, it'll be gone in a minute, and it'll go.
Yeah, and a lot of what people are asking for in and of themselves when they have a cigarette is a break from their routine, the system that they're in there and then.
Yeah.
So I'm stressed, I'm going to go and I'm going to have it, Yeah. And if they substituted that for just sitting and even just deep breathing, just taking 5 minutes to just...
Yeah, it does. It's the
then,
same.
Yeah, it's the same mechanism. We've gotten to still have the nicotine craving, but once you start to recognise it as it arises from within you, it isn't something that rules and controls you. It's something that you can choose to control, you know?
Of course you can, yeah. But ding.
Big up Winston Matthews.
Hey.
#fuck tobacco.
Winston, that's is that Perry?
I think it's Perry.
Yeah, it's Perry.
Big up kind of Bart man, how you doing? Welcome Samantha. Moro?
Perry.
Apologise for pronouncing your name wrong, but thanks man. Can I recommend a vaporizer? I've just been utilising, for home I've got a Volcano, which is a big bit of kit.
Yeah.
Incredibly good for flowers, good for extracts.
Mighty's okay, but I mean we're talking top end ones there, aren't we? The Volcano and Mighty.
£100. I mean, it depends on what you want it for. If you want a herbal or an extract for concentrates, something like that can be quite cheap. You can obviously get mass-produced sort of Chinese models. I mean, most of these things are made in China.
Yeah. I mean, they all just heat. They're all basically the same. So I think if you can get anyone that's got a variable temperature on it,
yeah, very.
That's the most important thing, isn't it? So.
Well, yeah, because I mean, THC breaks down like 150 something.
Yeah.
The cannabinoids break down at higher levels. Terpenes break down at different levels, so you can actually then extract what it is exactly you want from it, and then you're still left with the AVB, the already vape buds, which, again, for people trying to give up tobacco, that's what I utilised for the first couple of weeks. Was then to make my joints go further, I used AVB, already vape buds, so that I still put in the same amount of weed as I did before with tobacco, but it wasn't tobacco.
No.
I mean, there's obviously like you can use all these hemp teas and stuff that they're selling now, guys. They can be utilised as an alternative. Even things like sage and shit like that.
Yeah.
Can be utilised.
Because there are other plants that have got cannabinoids in. It's not just cannabis.
There's a lot of other kind of plants. Somebody asked me this the other day, and I can't for the life of me think of any of them.
No, I did read something about one yesterday, but I can't remember what it is.
I'm going to sit down and do some reading into, because it's shameful. We should know more than this. But of course it must do. If we have an endocannabinoid system, and it's the same way that plants speak in DMT almost. You can synthesize DMT for tens of thousands of plants. Yeah. And it seems to be the language of life in that sense. So it's weird that almost these things together create drugs of life in that weird sense. It's Salvador Dali. That's like, are you on drugs? He's saying, drugs? I am drugs. It's the same sort of thing, really. True. I mean, if we're regulated by cannabinoids, if we eat omega-3 and omega-6, omega-9, all these other things, and we convert them into cannabinoids, then technically we're all high. We're all under the influence.
Oh, yeah. Make me laugh or make some dopamine.
Yeah,
it is, isn't it?
Exactly, yeah. So, yeah, exactly. You make somebody angry or sad and or stressed. Obviously, you get like cortisol. You make them happy. You get oxytocin. Various other hormones and compounds that bond us as individuals. You know what I mean? And they've kind of weaponized those against us through advertising and various other means. And I think this is why they're scared of cannabis being given back to the people, because then we get to control and govern our health. We get to control and govern our environment. We get to control and govern our diet. In terms of utilising it as a protein, using it as a resource, using it as a prophylactic medicine. Yeah. That's what they're fucking terrified of. Cannabis isn't a panacea in the sense that it cures all. No. But it's a panacea in the sense that it has the potential to affect all.
See, I don't think cannabis cures anything. I think it just gives your body the chance to heal itself.
Entirely. The largest regulatory system is the endocannabinoid system, and you supplement that. It's the same way you got scurvy. You need some vitamin C. Yeah. Within a week, boom, scurvy gone. Yeah. And then, because you then keep your vitamin C levels right, you then don't get scurvy again. It's the same fucking thing. Cannabis, in this sense, is closer to a vitamin than it is a dangerous, abusable drug, you know?
Yeah. Still out, Sarah. Real talk, bro.
Mango contains CBD. I'll have to look into that. I know mango contains myrcene as a terpene, and actually myrcene tends to be the smell of like burnt cannabis. You know, when you have that generic that smells like weed.
Yeah.
That's my thinking, and that's one of the most prevalent terpenes in most strains.
See, but mango, isn't that meant to enhance the high?
Well, yeah, because of, I think it's because of the terpene, isn't it?
Yeah, but if it's got CBD in it, then CBD, doesn't that take away the high from THC?
With the whole thing of CBD at low dose is, what's their terms? A wake-inducing agent, because they don't want to say stimulant.
Yeah.
At high dose, it becomes sedatory.
Yeah.
But there is that mechanism of what it does with the cytochrome P450 enzyme in the liver, so that stops like other things being absorbed.
Right.
Ultimately, I can't find an answer here because I think I don't know enough of.
No, that's what you've already stoned.
But thinking about it, there's got to be a mechanism in place there. But this whole argument of saying CBD is non-psychoactive is a fallacy, because
it's not a head.
It's just not. I've been using the sentence. CBD isn't psychoactive in the same way as THC.
Yeah, it's not.
But it still has a psychological, psychoactive effect in the same way that anything does in that capacity.
Yeah, you can feel it. You can feel it in your body, so it's done something.
Yeah, and if it's having an anxiolytic effect, then that is clearly psychoactive. It's just that they're trying to muddy the waters with the language so that the CBD cowboys can protract this period of prohibition and make millions while selling just CBD.
Yeah.
And then harming, ultimately, the legalization argument, in my opinion.
Yeah.
For me, it's this whole thing of medical. They want to give medical for 10, 5, whatever conditions.
Yeah.
It's like the article about for I Smoke the other year, that for everybody to get access medicinally, we need a recreational marketplace. So instead of you having to then convince a board of individuals and professionals to let me try cannabis for my condition, you just go into a fucking shop and try it, and if it works, and you continue to use it, and fuck their system.
See, I've always said
that. Having gatekeepers.
Yeah, recreational first, just legalise it. You know what I mean?
Flat.
The medical, there's too much research that they need to do to make their self happy, so make it
what they're trying to do is create
if
they decriminalise and legalise in its raw form, allow us to grow it, allow us to consume it, allow us to utilise it and play with it. Then making it into patented, sellable, dangerous pharmaceutical drugs, yes, they should be high scheduled, and yes, they should involve the research. But regardless of any condition I ever acquire, I don't ever want a pharmaceuticalized cannabis drug.
No, I don't know.
I don't, because there's extracts and things that we can make at home which would be better than the technologies that they've already derived, the pharmaceuticals they've already derived. And we wouldn't be adding in stupid fucking drugs into it like they do. And it wouldn't then come with the list of fucking side effects like this, because you just titrate and find your strain until it suits you.
That's right. Yeah.
And then if we were given the space, can you imagine if each person was allowed to then breed their own genetics to the point of creating something that was so perfect to them? I mean, we've already cracked the human genome and shit. We already know the structure of DNA. How is it that we can't figure out a mechanism that says, oh, actually, you'd benefit from this terpene, this flavonoid, this, and this. So what would happen is if you then bred this, and this, that's the perfect strain for you.
If we're all doing that, do you think that would take away the value of weed? You know what I mean? It would.
Yes, but I think do you mean like the monetary?
The monetary, yeah.
I think but it needs to.
Yeah.
There's shops in Oregon that are selling high-grade outdoor grown for $50 an ounce.
Yeah.
The Colorado's black market saw its wholesale price half in the first year after legalization. It needs to happen so that we get the big boys out of it. So like the Mexican cartels that have murdered, nearly 100,000 people in 30, 40 years of prohibition over there. They're now moving back into black tar heroin because supply and demand. So all these Americans that have been getting addicted to Oxycontin and pills like that through pharmaceutical companies, and then being cut off from them, and then going to fucking cheap, nasty, adulterated. I don't want to say street heroin, but you know what I mean.
It's Cali weed. I don't rate it. I really don't. I won't spend £30 to £50 a gram just because it's in a fancy tuna tip.
You know the same as me from being known cultivators and whatnot, that you can produce high grade for fucking 40 quid less, or even less, an ounce in the UK. And then for me, I even begrudge paying fucking €10 and shit when you're in the coffee shops in Amsterdam and shit. I don't want to see that kind of market where you can only buy it by the gram. There has to be wholesales, there has to be bespoke, there has to be mom and pop growers as well as the Starbucks of cannabis. We have to have that spectrum of availability, which for me will come if we give it over to free market principles. So we don't allow the capitalist paradigm of scarcity to occur, in which case, there's only 5 people grow this version of biscotti, so then it has to be worth £109,000
Well, it
a
was,
kilo or whatever.
I saw somewhere yesterday, somebody doing some Cali seeds, and they were regulars for 10 was £420 or something. For 10 regular seeds. There's not even guarantees there's going to be a female in there. It's mad. I won't pay it.
Yeah, it's a different game now with this. I mean, you've got a lot of people that are selling Cali weed, but what they mean is it's what's UK Cali.
Yeah.
So what's, you know, we don't call fucking strawberry cough or whatever Dutch fucking genetics. You know, we don't talk of it in that sense.
But none of it looks like natural weed anyway. You know what I mean? A natural bud isn't as dense and rock hard.
We think about the sheer number of things that failed pest and mold tests, and that actually failed fucking chemical tests. There's another $350 million worth of cannabis that's failed tests over there this year. Where the fuck do you think that's going to go?
Yeah.
But it's things like Instagram and stuff like that it proliferates because people want to buy the hype.
Yeah.
They want to be like, oh, look what I'm smoking. The whole thing of like dogs. People love fucking dogs. Yeah. But I know people that are just leaving in rocks. You know, the Rockwell, the bulks nutrient.
Yeah.
Leaving that in because it has the gassy smell. And then you can just call it, it's Illuminati dog, it's that dog, it's this dog. And people think, oh yeah, fucking right, it's mint that. Stick it in a pop top, there's an extra tenner.
But it all depends who grew it as well. I mean, you can get, you know, some good Cali seeds and give it to 5 different growers.
You'll have 5 different.
And you'll have 5 different types of weed because everyone grows different. So
this is, I mean, can you imagine if you went to a dealer and you really liked this weed and you then go back to him and go, can I tell you who this was? Can I get it to them personally? And then you can move from the dealer to the grower.
Yeah.
And then, all right, mate, I want an ounce every 3 weeks.
Yeah.
And you could set up a system of almost like.
So I've got a friend, and he says it doesn't matter what I grow, he can tell that I grew it.
Yeah.
I don't know how, but he can.
There's almost a.
That's because I sing to them.
Well, yeah, there's so much subtlety and nuance within growing cannabis. I mean, for all it is a weed, and you give it the right environment, it'll grow. The little bits of extra that you provide it really fucking matter.
Oh, anyone can grow weed. Anyone can. Not anyone. You know, it's quite hard to get over an ounce.
Good weed.
And make it good weed too. It is an art. I mean, I'm good. I'm no expert. I will never say I am, but I'm good.
Yeah.
You know, I'm a good grower. I don't like people touching my bro.
Well, this is it. It's a lot of growers that I know, they're protective like parents. You know what I mean? So no, it's my baby. Don't go near it.
Yeah, it is. That's like trying to share a grow with someone. I've tried it, but I can't. Yeah. I can't do it.
It's difficult. I mean, the collectives work quite well. Durham, we've got several collectives up there, but it's. Yeah, they do work. It's difficult because different people have different levels of passion and interest. So then, if it's one guy's cycle to look after it, especially if it's an important stage like fucking shifting from veg to flower, they miss that.
It depends what you're growing for. I mean, a lot of them, if it's growing for money, they don't care. They just want it. Yeah. You know, rush grow it.
Yeah, they want rush grow, leaving in the fucking chemicals.
Yeah.
With thick fucking plants.
Whereas if you're doing it for personal, you want it perfect. You know.
Yeah. A lot of the personal growers I know tend to go organics.
Yeah.
A lot of the money men are all these serious, like, what the fuck is that?
Yeah.
It's like, well, I put my gloves on and then I. So, well, okay, straight away, why are you using it if you need to fucking put gloves on to utilize it?
I mean, I try something different every time. Yeah. I've gone through organic, normal soil, cocoa, hydroponics. So I'm still.
But that's what you just you're diversifying so that you actually learn the whole.
Yeah, but there's so many different things you can do. Like you got fimming, topping, super cropping. There's try something different every time.
This aquaponics.
Yeah, well, the fish. Yeah, I've seen that.
There's all kinds of. I mean, and this is innovation under an illegal market. Can you imagine when we're all allowed to think of this? There'll be some fucking kid that's still in his dad's sperm now that in 20 years is going to invent something in fucking insane that's going to make us all go, well, what the fuck? How did we not think of that?
Yeah.
But if in order for that to happen, that kind of innovation that's going to truly change the world, we need to stop this fallacy, this moral argument that getting high is somehow sinful.
Yeah.
And the people often making this argument are fucking blathered, drinking themselves to death.
Yeah.
But it's the language. It's all about the Orwellian way we describe this. So It's drugs and alcohol policy, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah.
It's, you don't have a psychotic break on alcohol. You just drank too much. Oh, you hit it a bit hard last night, young. And, you know what I mean? There's always that just belittling of it rather than the acceptance of what it actually is. And again, it's not... I'm not calling for the prohibition of alcohol at all.
No.
It never works as a concept. It cannot work. So we need a free and open system where people can conversate about the benefits that they get and the potential side effects that they get. Because ultimately, we both espouse the benefits of this drug, but it can be we both espouse the benefits of, but there can be negatives.
Yeah, of course it can. Yeah.
But until we have an open marketplace and a free area for people to actually communicate this, we're not going to get that kind of data. We're not going to understand what's going on.
No, but that's right. There are not side effects, but there are bad parts about cannabis. It's not all 100% perfect, is it?
I mean, some of those are consequences of the market that it's in now.
Yeah.
But it's the same as I don't drink alcohol.
It is lovely.
Yeah.
So I don't consume alcohol because of the way it affects my mental health.
Yeah.
But in the same breath, obviously, some people then shouldn't consume cannabis because of the way it affects their mental health.
Yeah.
But what we currently have a system of is these people here had a really bad reaction to it, so therefore everybody else can have a bad reaction to it.
Yeah.
But in my mind, it's the same as somebody died from peanuts. Let's ban peanuts.
That's right.
Are you fucking absurd? No. What you do is anything that's got peanuts in, you label this may contain nuts. You set up systems of harm reduction rather than trying to remove something that already exists from our culture.
Yeah. Well, that's like alcohol. They all have different effects. And like gin can make you cry, can't it? It's quite a sad, depressing drink. Gin.
Yeah.
Brandy make you randy, apparently.
Well, yeah,
but,
all of these things
they
that
do.
the things that people know. Yeah, tequila's another one of these.
Yeah,
sort
Stella,
of,
you'll beat your missus out.
Yeah, there's these associations. I mean, some of them are obviously stereotypes that have evolved
of course they are. Yeah.
from certain people using them, but
it's exactly the same with cannabis. You need to find out what suits you.
yeah, and again, there's some strains that I'll smoke and I'll go, well, no, I do not want to consume that again.
Yeah.
I don't know whether it's the terpene profile in it. I don't know if it's the way it's been grown or what, but some strains will just go, what the fuck?
Yeah.
I mean, I like some sativas. I do like engaging my brain sometimes.
Yeah.
But something like that Alaskan Thunderfuck can be dangerous for some people. Like, honestly, it can make you go so fast and so much.
Yeah,
it's like amphetamine.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And if you then give that to somebody that was expecting an indica kind of hit and was then in a situation where they become anxious because they're in a public space with people they don't know, you can understand how people have negative reactions to certain strains. But again, I don't blame that on the plant. It's the same as if you were expecting to sit there and drink a beer and you've just bought this alcohol and you're expecting a beer and you then down a pint of gin. You're going to be in when you were expecting it to just be a little, that was tasted nice and cooled me down. Do you know what I mean? And again, these are consequences of it being in the illicit marketplace.
Yeah.
Whereas what it should be when we go to buy weed in the future will be, well, maybe not pop tops, but then a thing of, put like a bottle label off.
Yeah.
It's double sided and it opens up and it's grown here, batch number this number, grown by this guy, blah blah. But you know what I mean?
But that would be nice when it's no.
Yeah, I mean,
no,
obviously
like
for a gift economy, it shouldn't be a requisite. That I grow some weed and want to give it to you, and then I have to go to a lab, get it tested. I have to know, well, it's had this past. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I should be able to go, here's what I've used, here's what I've done. Do you want to trade?
Yeah.
That needs to exist, but at the same time, what will then be sold in the supermarkets needs regulating to that degree, I would say.
Oh, it does.
But you can't have one without the other. We need, for the average idiot, I can't grow it, so I don't want to. They need to be able to just go and buy it. If they want to go and buy it at 10, 12 pounds a gram, let them.
Yeah.
But then there needs to be mom and pop, home grow, boom, there's a box of an ounce or something. You know what I mean? There needs to be the spectrum of
definitely.
to provide for people. So if these guys want the exclusive, these connoisseurs, these flavour chasers, and they want to pay 100 quid for a fucking 3.5, let that exist. But then there should be £10 for a 3.5.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
That'd be nice.
But this is what could happen. It's a bit potential. The potential is there.
Oh, it is. Yeah.
And if you then do that, that's the only way you're going to destroy the black market. Because in places like California now, they're raiding 250 illegal grow operations a week to try and switch over to this legitimate thing. But the problem is more people are now switching back into the black market because the tax rate in some regions is 40%.
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck? How do you expect to compete with the black market that is well established, that has some of the best growers in the world, You know what I mean? And some of the best respected strains and networks imaginable. And you want to then come in with government-sanctioned fucking weed, and then tell them that these guys are bad guys, criminals, and not give them the opportunity to legitimise, get licenses, and be accepted within their system, but to then further criminalise them and demonise them.
That's the thing. If the government gave these decent growers, like, so say grow for us, then they'd make more money anyway, because we would think, oh yeah, that comes from them. It's not GW made.
This is it. This is what I want to see moving forward. So I keep saying this to people out there: is have the faith, our expertise, the things we have done within this industry and within this bracket of criminality of our history will work towards our CV, will work towards us being more employable within this community, in this industry moving forward ultimately. And it's this whole thing of I saw a meme the other day of it was a guy, a hippie guy, and it was a cannabis investor, and the investor guy was saying to the hippie, oh, I'm a cannabis investor, multi-millionaire sort of guy, and the hippie's like, oh, do you want to blaze one? And the guy's like, no, I don't smoke. And it's so true, because the vast majority of the people that own the big boys in the cannabis scene now in the legal places don't touch it. So they have no expertise, they have no idea what the plant is. So therefore, people like me and you that have the nuanced information from actual front lines, we've been in the trenches of the war on drugs, we'll be highly employable. We'll have not just skills but expertise that will give us a great potential future. I'm positive of this. Honestly, I am. So. Because otherwise, that system will stagnate and crash, and we'll have to continue to do what we do moving forward. And I suppose, like me, you're prepared to do that, but the reason we're public and fight and do this kind of content is that we're trying to galvanise them not to want to do the same. If there was tens of thousands of us all over the UK, they would just went, no, we're not going to accept this anymore. Here's my face, here's my story, here's what I do, and fuck you. What the hell are they going to do then? What could they actually do?
That's like my street team of, like, if we all had that every city in the country, people on the streets all the time.
Every weekend,
it would really make a difference. I mean, I've never stated that Hampshire will change any laws as a club itself or community, but what we have done is change public opinion in our area, and that was all we can do. But that is a big thing. It really is, because you're going to need the public behind you when it comes down to it.
You've won hearts and minds, and that is difficult. I mean, you said it. You said it about the way people were engaging. You said it earlier, where people were engaging. There wasn't one negative comment, but there was people doing that same thing of, will it work for this? Will it work for that? You can see that people, you can almost imagine them sat there on the couch in their living room, fucking drinking their sanctioned alcohol and smoking the sanctioned cigarette, and then looking, going, oh, gee, my back, oh, my hip, oh, my this, oh, my that, and then hearing yet another cannabis story, and just going, And it is because of events like ours that they'll then come out, step into the community, and then go and have that conversation, and that galvanizes them and then go away. I mean, there's numerous people we've helped up in Durham with literally just a couple of 10ml bottles, and then within a month or two, actually have to start growing. Would you? What's the best for this? And they'll ask a few questions, and before you know it, boom, they're self-sufficient. And now there's one or two of them that are now setting up their mitts. So it's this, for me, it's what I want to do is create a system where I don't have to do fuck all. We just produce enough content, create enough information, disseminate the truth. People then get riled up, galvanized, and go, fuck it, let's do something and change. Look at the sheer number of clubs that have popped up in the past year and a half. You know what I mean? It just keeps going and going, and the number of events. Hopefully by next summer, all the people that have attended Eastney and Green Pride and Product Earth, they'll go back to their towns and their cities and go, fuck it, we can do it. You know that bit of land around there? Yeah, let's do it. And I want to see it so that we have to choose each weekend. Oh, I can't do that one because I'm doing this one. Oh, I really wish I could do that one.
It is getting like that,
that's what it needs to be. And for me, we need to start thinking next steps as well. I still think there's a way we need to engage with the police in a certain way. I don't know whether it's like...
I've tried to talk to them, but they just... I don't know whether it's the long hair or I don't know what it is, but they won't talk to me.
They're just opposed to it. Or maybe if it's not. I think in a lot of ways, they're intimidated.
I thought they would,
because you're a knowledgeable individual.
My dad was drug squad, like in Portsmouth. So I thought, because I'm an ex-copper's son, they might talk to me, but maybe that goes against me. I don't know. But one day they will. I'll keep on at them.
Perseverance. I mean, I've not really engaged that much with my police in Durham. A lot of that was foundational work done by others. I am engaging with Neil Woods at Leap and Jason Reed and people like that, and I've written a few articles recently I'm trying to get published about. The big one I've written is about prohibition and police, that's saying we can either have well-respected, well-funded, community-engaged police officers or drug prohibition.
Yeah.
You can't have the two, because when kids are experimenting, and ultimately it is sort of youngins, it's when you're in your late teens, early 20s, you're trying all these drugs, you're trying these different things.
Yeah.
You need to be protected at that point.
Big time, yeah.
But they're fucking not. The police are then, as soon as you catch one, so you're 19, oh, we caught you with a bag of pills that you just bought for your mates to have on a Friday night.
Yeah.
They're going to ruin your life now. Some are going to lock you up, give you a criminal record, ensure that no employer wants to employ you, make sure that you have to then get, just all these other consequences.
It does, though. It does. It ruins your life from a young age.
But the police are starting to recognise this, and now they're starting to try and figure out, like Ron Hogg's checkpoint scheme is brilliant.
Yeah.
That they're giving a diversionary mechanism that allows you to get caught, but not be criminalised for your use.
Yeah, that's good.
But I don't want to see Portugal's decriminalisation system, because it's been 17 years now, and now they're moving to legalisation. They're now trying to create a mechanism to produce their own cannabis.
But they did it on all drugs, didn't they, Portugal, not just...
Yeah, but they were smart with it. So what they did is they reduced their intravenous drug deaths by half.
Yeah, it did help with especially heroin and things like that, didn't it?
But it's not...
I don't know.
It has, but it's not truthful.
Yeah.
So then they're not telling the heroin addicts, you should be smoking weed and taking cannabis oil.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? All drugs are bad, and we'll help you get off them.
Yeah.
That's the opposite of addiction.
You're all addicts. And,
the opposite of addiction is not sobriety. It cannot be, and it shouldn't be.
No.
I hate this Russell Brand's fucking him espousing greater than thou because I give up all substances. That's bullshit.
Yeah, no.
What's actually a measure of control is to be able to utilise them willingly when you want to, not out of in a
Most things, even things that are bad for you, are usually okay in moderation.
Or at least not that bad enough to damage you in moderation.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
But trying to get people to understand that is so fucking difficult, because we're under this arrested development as individuals where the paradigm is there's the authoritative structures that are almost an extension of your parents. And as a kid, and keep running, and they'll shout eventually when I've gone too far and I'm in danger.
Yeah.
So to that mentality of the government going, well, I can keep sneaking. It's look at festivals when all of these well-to-do middle-class kids and shit go and they take all these fucking drugs, and they end up endangering themselves because they don't have any respect and they don't know the limits, because they're expecting mummy and daddy, the security and the police and the medics and everybody else, to have to look after them. They're not taking responsibility for their own individuality, their own consciousness.
Well, that comes down to education, I suppose.
It does, and it's because of the absence of education of drugs. They get the trank talk. All drugs are addictive, all drugs are dangerous, all drugs lead to other drugs, and drugs are bad.
Yeah.
There's no conversation of, well, actually...
And then Frank goes home, has a little line and a joint.
Yeah, which the joke of it, look at David Nutt's scale of harms, the 20, when he reclassified the 20 drugs.
Yeah.
And he got sacked for it, and he put psilocybin, LSD, mescaline, cannabis and shit like this down this side, and he put alcohol, heroin, caffeine and shit, this and tobacco, this end, And that's what we need. That's what kids understand inherently. They understand that amphetamine is less dangerous than fucking heroin because of the way heroin affects the respiratory system. Obviously, amphetamine at high dose could cause heart issues. You know what I mean? There are other consequences with it. But they then learn to titrate their use by how they feel. You know what I mean? The majority of people that consume a substance are not trying to kill themselves with that substance. So it's in the same way as we said before, as you drinking that's a beer, I know what the beer is going to do. But if that alcohol, I've just bought that alcohol, is an absinthe, you know what I mean, drink it both. And it's the same with most heroin overdoses, because you buy in shandies all week, so you double drop in your shandies, and then all of a sudden somebody sells you absinthe and he doesn't tell you, or he doesn't know, or it's laced with fentanyl, or some other adulterant.
That's when you don't know what's cut with, you never do you?
Yeah,
don't know what any drugs are cut with.
That's why drugs like that are more dangerous, because you can't just, I suppose you could grow
but even
your
cannabis
heroin.
though.
Yeah,
it gets sprayed with stuff.
Again, why you need to grow your own, glass, sand, anything you can do to add that weight to it,
It's wrong, it is. Thomas, we're all good. Lovely day for it.
Don't ever stop talking. If you listen, that's on them.
He never stopped talking.
Listen, that's
he
on
never stopped talking.
I can't stop talking. People want to fucking listen.
I know.
I need to practice anyway. I was going to speak at fucking Hempfest.
It was AM when we got it.
I don't know how long we've been here. Oh, we've been on a while now.
Have we? What's time? About an hour?
20 past 12.
Well, when we
It was
started.
10 to 11 when we started. We've been on an hour and a half.
Wow.
Well, I'll talk another 5 minutes, guys, and then I think we'll have to bounce.
Yeah, there goes more data.
Yeah, same. I did just put up with an extra 10 and I managed to get 2 gigabyte from
Well, I've
Tesco,
got
wasn't it?
5 gig, I think. I'll get a month. So.
That's been enjoyable, though. This is, as you see, guys, this is the new crack. I'm going to be going around just engaging in conversations with the people, travelling around. I like this outdoor setting. I think it's been really good.
Yeah, it's nice.
The phone seems to have worked well with the connection. I was a bit worried earlier, but it's worked out well. But yeah, I'll be travelling back up north tomorrow, I think. There's somebody I'm trying to get a hold of somebody special for Wednesday. I think he's far too fucking busy, but he is only down the road from me. If I can noise him up, I will. If not, I'll try and have a guest anyway for Wednesday, guys.
Don't forget Green Pride Saturday.
Shit, yeah, Green Pride in Brighton. There's birds in the bushes. Green Pride in Brighton, guys, that's going to be fucking huge. They had, what, 3,000
last year? They're hoping for 5,000.
Yeah, man.
Yeah,
I mean, you saw there was 20,000 plus at fucking Hyde Park this year for 420, so I think easily every month, every week, with every video, with every event, with every news story, with every interaction, more and more people become... galvanised is the perfect word for it. So they become fucking, yes, let's do this. They get enthused and passionate, and they step out into the community and start engaging. And once there is tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of us doing this, it becomes an impossibility for them to continue their prohibitionist paradigm.
Well, like, you know, it don't take long to build up with your events, build up the people. Like Worthing up the road, they haven't been going sort of that long. And their first event was really quiet, and they've done about 3 now, and they're getting busier and busier.
Our events that we did monthly last year, they stacked from about 100, 150 up to fucking like about 400 or 500 people.
Yeah.
You know, it really quickly develops because people have a thirst. In each event, people will come to your event, and then they'll go and tell 5 mates, and then they'll come and they'll tell 5 more mates, and it just...
So years ago, when I first started it, a lot of people was too scared to come to these events because they thought they were going to come and just get arrested.
Yeah, too scared to even click on the thing attending on the Facebook page.
Yeah, they won't even like your Facebook page.
But yeah, a lot of that now is it's not a case of the scared of getting arrested. Oh, I've got me mum on Facebook.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but if you're a cannabis consumer in 2018 and you're scared to have that conversation with your parents, unless you're literally 16, in which case that's the more difficult conversation anyway, it shouldn't be a fucking issue, man. Be proud of what you're doing. You're utilising a substance that is incapable of causing overdose. It's a far safer substance than alcohol, than tobacco, than caffeine, than sugar, than most fucking foods that are available to us. You know what I mean? Be brave enough to start a conversation that fucking matters, especially around drugs. You know what I mean? Don't let them tell you who you are and that you're a bad person for consuming cannabis or any other substance.
No.
If you choose to do it in a harm-reducing manner, in a way that is safe for you, you're not infringing on the freedoms or harming others, then fuck them. Mike Barton of Durham Chief Constable said that it's not our position to judge people for the way the substances that they use if it doesn't harm others.
No.
He runs a fucking police force, guys. Come on, if he can have that attitude, you can see where we're going in this country. So just get ahead of the curve and come out and be fucking truthful with what you do.
I mean, if you're growing it, you're not hurting anyone. You're paying your electric, you're paying for your seeds, the tax.
You're paying tax on all of your seeds, your nukes, your fucking lights, your electricity. Hurt. You're paying more tax than Costa, than Star fucking Bucks, and I don't know about these guys, Wild Bean. But most of the things, corporations and entities that you interact with on a daily basis pay fucking zero tax. You know what I mean? We all utilise Google and all of these other industries, businesses as well online. They pay no fucking tax either. We need to create an economy all of our own, and I don't know if you've ever seen Trailer Park Boys, but Ricky and his hash coins, we can utilise cannabis as a currency in and of itself. In the same way when there was the 13 colonies in the States in America under British rule, they could choose to pay their tax utilising hemp, and they could pay less of a rate because hemp was worth more than fucking money. We could make that paradigm the same again, guys, because as a resource we can grow everything we ever need from it.
Yeah, we can.
Right, it's been a pleasure, guys.
It has.
Once again, Cy Dignam from Hampshire Cannabis Community.
Nice talking to you.
Been Simpa from DCCC.
Simpa. Durham City Cannabis Club.
We'll be back. I'll be back, and I'm sure I'll keep motivating Cy to do more live videos.
Yeah, I love doing them, but it's easier with him because there's no quiet moments.
Yeah,
when Simpa's in the room.
Yeah, don't let us. My moment. Let's talk some shit. Yeah, let's get in there. Right, been a pleasure, guys.
Right,
Peace
see you later.
Love.
Bye.